Hello, everybody, how are you? Hello, everybody, how are you? It is time to start our day. It is time to work and play. Hello, everybody, how are you? Hi, guys, welcome to Friday. It is officially 2 weeks until Christmas. 2 weeks from today is Christmas Day. God bless you, Avery. She had a little sneeze. Well, today we are going to talk about a really delicious, fun, messy, sticky topic, and that is candy canes. Way up high in the Christmas tree, 2 little candy canes winked at me. I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the candy canes. They are good. If you like candy canes, say yay! If you would rather have chocolate, say, oh yeah, chocolate. I like chocolate better than candy canes, but I think candy canes are very important to have around at Christmas time. One of the reasons is because they have a special meaning. All week long, we've been talking about the special meaning behind different Christmas things, and today we're going to talk about the special meaning behind a candy cane. And I have a book I'd like to share with you. We're going to start with this one, and it's called The Legend of the Candy Cane. Let's see what happens in this story. Now take a look at the people on the cover of our book. Do they look like people you would see out and about in a store or on the street today? Their clothing tells me no. I don't think I'd run into people that look like this, because this story took place a long time ago, and one of the clues we have to know that is how they're dressed. Also, what time of year do you think this story is taking place? In the summertime when it's hot outside? In the fall when the leaves are changing? In the spring when flowers are growing? I think the clues that I see in the cover tell me it's taking place in the wintertime. They're all bundled up and there's snow flying, so it takes place in the wintertime, which, by the way, is when Christmas happens. So, I wonder if that's a coincidence. Let's find out. The Legend of the Candy Cane is what this book is called. Okay, you know what? Let's flip so you guys can see the pictures and I can take the words off a little bit. Make sure you guys can see that part. One dreary evening in the depths of November, a stranger rode into town. He stopped his horse in front of a lonely storefront. The windows were boarded shut and the door was locked fast. But the man looked at it, smiled, and said, "It'll do." Wonder what he has in mind. All through the gray short days and the long dark nights of November, the man worked. The townspeople could hear the faint pam 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 of his hammer and the snish 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 of his saw. They could smell the sweet clean scent of new lumber and the deep oily smell of new paint. But no one knew who the man was or what he was doing. They have a mystery in their town. The mayor hoped he was a doctor to heal his illness. The young wives hoped he was a tailor to make beautiful dresses. The farmers hoped he was a trader to exchange their grain for goods. But the children, they had the strongest, deepest wish of all, a wish they did not tell their parents, a deep, quiet, secret wish that none of them said out loud. No one spoke to the man. No one asked if he needed help. They just waited and watched and wondered and wished. What do you think the children's wish was? What do you think they wanted? What would you want if a new person was coming to town and making a store with anything you wanted? What would you want it to be? Let's find out what it was. But one small girl watched and wondered, waited and wished longer than she could stand. And one snowy day, she knocked at the stranger's door. "Hello," she said. "My name is Lucy. Do you need some help?" The man smiled warmly and nodded. Then he opened the door, and Lucy stepped inside. A long counter ran down the side of the room. Bare shelves filled the opposite walls. In the back were dozens and dozens of barrels and crates. "Could you help me unpack?" the man asked. Lucy's heart sank at the sight of all of those boxes. What if they were only barrels of nails and bags of flour? But she removed her dripping boots and hung her coat on a peg. On stocking feet, she crossed the rough wooden floor and knelt beside a crate. "Please open it," the man urged. Slowly, Lucy put her hand into the box and pulled out an object wrapped in tissue. Round and heavy, it almost slipped through her fingers. Lucy trembled a little as she unwrapped it. It was a glass jar. Lucy gave the man a puzzled look. "Go on," his nod said. So she unpacked another glass jar and another until she was completely surrounded by jars of all shapes and sizes, tall and thin, round and squat, jars with lids and jars without. "Now," said the man, "for something to put inside." And he pulled over a huge crate stamped with a strange word. It says on it, confections. I wonder what confections are. I think Lucy's wishes are coming true. As Lucy unpacked, her eyes lit up. It was candy, her favorite candy, gumdrops. "Try some," the man said. She popped one in her mouth. Now she could hardly unwrap fast enough. Peppermint sticks, taffy, lollipops, chewing gum. Wide-eyed, she looked at the man. "We wished," Lucy said. "Yes, I know," said the man, "and here it is. Welcome to Sonneman's Candy Store. I am John Sonneman." Is that what you would have wished for too? Some candy? Soon the small store was filled with candies, gleaming in their glass jars. Raspberry suckers and tiny lemon drops, brightly colored jawbreakers and long tangles of licorice, pink and white peppermints for church and butterscotch balls for company. Then in the very last package, in the very last crate, was a candy Lucy had never seen before. A red and white striped candy stick with a crook on the end. "What's this?" Lucy asked. "This," Mr. Sonneman explained, "is a candy cane. It is a very special Christmas candy." "Why?" Lucy asked. "Tell me," Mr. Sonneman said. "What letter does it look like?" Lucy took the candy and turned it in her hand. "J," she said. "Yes," Mr. Sonneman smiled. "J for Jesus, who was born on Christmas Day." "Now turn it over. What does it remind you of?" Lucy turned the candy cane in her hand. She peered down intently. "I know," she said firmly. "It's like a shepherd's staff." "Who were the first to find out about Jesus' birth?" Mr. Sonneman asked. "Shepherds in the field," Lucy answered, "watching over their flocks by night." "But Mr. Sonneman, what are the stripes for?" Lucy asked. The man's eyes grew sad. "The prophet Isaiah said, 'By his stripes we are healed.' Before he died on the cross, Jesus was whipped. He bled terribly. The red reminds us of his suffering and his blood." "But then," Mr. Sonneman continued, "the candy is white as well. When we give our lives to Jesus, his blood washes away our sins, making us white and pure as snow. That," he said, "is the story of the candy cane." "Is it a secret?" Lucy asked. Mr. Sonneman looked at her for a long moment. "It's a story that needs to be told," he said. "Will you help me share it?" It was now the depths of December. The town was whipped round by blizzard winds. For days the sun hid itself. But every morning Mr. Sonneman and Lucy ventured out. They wore heavy woolen coats and bright hand-knit scarves. And in their stiff mittened fingers they each held a bag. They went to every house in town. They traveled to every farm in the country. They knocked on every door. In every home they told the story. They left a small gift and they gave an invitation. On the afternoon of Christmas Eve, the sun finally broke through the clouds, and Sonneman's candy store officially opened. The mayor came, feeling better than he'd felt in days. The young wives came, dressed in beautiful smiles. The farmers came, eager to trade grain for Christmas gifts, and the children ran in dizzying circles. Yes, their wish had come true. Yes, they had come to share in the opening of the candy store. But they shared something more, something bigger, something better. On that Christmas Eve, they shared the story of the candy cane. They told of the miracle of Christ's birth, the misery of his death, and the mercy of his love. The end. Did you know there was that much going on with one candy cane? Did you know all the different meanings and the different symbols that were on it? Let's take a look at a candy cane together. I happen to have one. Let's see if I can get it out of my box. I happen to have one here. Now, first we learned that it's the letter J, Then for Jesus, then when you turn it over, it's a shepherd's staff, which is what they hold. They hold it while they're watching over their sheep. And the shepherds were the first ones that heard about Jesus being born. Then we learned about the red stripes representing Jesus' blood when he died, and the white stripes representing both his purity and his forgiveness of our sins. So a candy cane has a lot of cool meaning to it besides being delicious. Now, taking a different kind of look at it, it also has a pattern to it. It goes red, white, red, white, red, white. So I happen to have the start of a candy cane here that you can help me finish. Mine starts with white. It goes white, red, white, red. What color should come next on my candy cane? If I have a pattern going of white, red, the next thing after red should be white. White, red, white, red, white. What do you think? Red. What do you think is next? White. And then, of course, we'll finish it off with a red. Now, I have one for you to work on at home. Let me show you real quick. Your grown-up can print this off of the internet, and you can make your own pattern. You can color it. You can use construction paper. You can cut it out and glue it on. You can use cotton balls if you have pom-pom balls of different colors. If you have tissue paper, you can crumple it up and glue that on. There's all different kinds of ways that you can make your candy cane pattern. And this will be on the internet for your grown-up to print off. Okay, so you can take that home and you can do that. But I have you might have been wondering why I've got my apron on today. I have kind of a messy project for us to do together. We are going to make something called oobleck. Can you say that with me? Oobleck. Really strange word because it's a really strange thing. Oobleck is not something that you would normally touch, not something you would normally find. Oh, my bowl is heavy. Can you see that if I put that up there? You sure can. Let me bring this closer. What you use to make oobleck is simply two things. You use water. I've got 2 cups of water and cornstarch. Okay, I've got water and cornstarch, and we're going to mix them together in a minute. Now, what makes oobleck so special is it's not a liquid or a solid. What's a liquid and a solid, you might be wondering. A solid, for example, like a candy cane, is something that I can hold. I can put it in my hand. It stays in my hand. It doesn't change shape. It stays exactly what it was. This bottle of paint, I can hold it in my hand. It doesn't change shape. It stays exactly what it was, and it doesn't run through my fingers. But if I were to open the bottle of paint and pour it, a liquid would come out. Now, I'm going to show you water, juice, coffee. Those are all liquids. Milk. I'm going to show you what happens when I try to pour a liquid. Watch what happens with my fingers. Can you see this? It just goes right through. A liquid just goes right through my hands. It doesn't stay the shape of the cup that it was in. It just does that. Okay, I also had a little bit of paint because I'm going to try to turn mine green. I don't want to use food coloring because that will stain. I just have a little tempera paint, and that will help me turn it green. But because it is Christmas time and because we are talking about candy canes, I took a couple of candy canes, unwrapped them, put them in a bag, and I'm going to take my hammer. You ready? It's going to make it a little loud. I'm going to break it into pieces, and I'm going to put this in our oobleck, and it will give it a nice smell, and it'll give me something to play with inside my oobleck. All right, so how do we make this oobleck? You want to know? I'm going to take my cornstarch, which is a solid. It's a powdery solid, and I'm going to put 3 cups. Okay, this is my 1 cup measuring cup, so I have to fill it 3 times. You ready? There's 1, a little bit more than 1. We'll go a little less that time. There's 2. Looks like it might be the entire container. It was. So this was a brand new container. So if you're making this at home, I used a whole container of cornstarch, 3 cups. Now I'm going to add 2 cups of water. But you know what? I think I'll put my candy canes in there first so they get mixed in right away. Those are going to get in there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of green paint, I think. Well, we'll come back and do that. Now, when I add my water, usually I would use a spoon to stir. This is where it gets really messy. That's why I have my apron on. I'm going to add the water, and I'm going to use my hands to stir. You ready? And now, right now, I have this powdery solid, and I have this liquid I can pour. Now, let's see what happens when I start to mix together the cornstarch and the water. It's already starting to feel, ooh, it's getting thick. It's starting to feel, oh, ooey and gooey. And the more I mix it, the more what's going to happen is it's going to become kind of an in-between. It will feel like a salad, but it will run through my fingers at the same time. Now, should I try mixing in a little bit of paint and seeing if I can get a little green in here? Let's see. Again, I don't want to use food coloring because that will get all messy, really messy and stain. Okay, let's see if my oobleck is going to turn green now that I've mixed them in. Let's see if I can find, I'm kind of on a candy cane hunt. I still have some cornstarch here to mix in. You see what it does? See how it becomes something in between. Ooh, mine's kind of cool because the green's not really mixing in. There it goes a little bit. It's striped like the candy cane is. Now, I'm feeling like I might have a little bit too much water in mine. So then, if I had more cornstarch, I could add it and I could make it thicker. Check it out. This is something that you, with your grown-ups' permission and with your grown-ups' help, can make today and see what happens. Check it out. It's a really cool feeling thing. But again, I think I have too much water in mine. So if I had more cornstarch with me, I would add it. So what you can do is just keep playing with it. Add a little cornstarch, add a little water, till you get something that feels like a salad, but when you pick it up, it runs through your fingers. There, mine is turning green now. And I can go on a candy cane hunt inside my oobleck. And let me see. It does, it smells pepperminty. All right, guys, thank you for experimenting with oobleck with me today and for learning about candy canes. I will see you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody. Goodbye.